Chamber websites in the near future. So with that, I will turn it over to Matt Gardner with the Greater North Dakota Chamber to provide a brief welcome and roll into North Dakota Career Builders.
Okay, well, thank you, Dina, and thanks for partnering with the Greater North Dakota Chamber on these important workforce programs out today. So to give get an idea of what the Greater North Dakota Chamber is, we are the largest statewide business advocacy organization in the state. The Chamber, we're also the state affiliate for NAM, which is the National Association of Manufacturers. So we represent a wide range of businesses and industries across the state. And just kind of update with some information, right around the new year is a good time to get an idea of where our members are at. We did a survey, and the number one challenge that our members feel is facing them going into the new year is workforce. And it's not really a surprise to anybody, I don't think, but it's always good to get that on paper and get that confirmation. So it's good that TechND and the Greater North Dakota Chamber are partnering together to bring these programs forward. And there's plenty of them out there. There's a lot of initiatives, whether it's the Workforce Development Council or whatever the case may be. I think a lot of people are focused on workforce. I was at a Legacy Fund Earnings Committee hearing last night in Wofford City, and a number of the general public that came out to say what their needs are. A lot of them rolled around education, around training. That basically led into this workforce challenge that we're facing in the state. And with 30,000 open jobs, we need ways to fill these careers and to grow our state. So, so there's no doubt that workforce is a challenge that we need to move forward. And it's this year, it was last year, it was 2018, so some things have been happening. So what I'm going to roll into is the Career Builders program, just give you a little update of how it started, where we're at now. And then I'm going to leave it up to the expert at the university system to talk about how it works and how you can get involved. So, so how did this start? A lot of states have been doing programs like this. I remember during a hearing, the president of NDSCS was saying there's 26 states, 25 states. Those are a pretty large number that have a similar program that matches employer dollars with state dollars to drive youth and those that are, and not even youth, just anybody looking for a career, those high demand career fields. And those incentives could be scholarships, loan repayment. I mean, there's a plethora of ideas going around across the country. So an interim committee took a look at this in 2018. The Economic Development Association of North Dakota was a big player at that time during the interim committee, as well as the Greater North Dakota Chamber. And a number of ideas were floated around, and a draft bill was proposed. That was a scholarship program, but it was really more like a placeholder for the legislative committees during the legislative session to take a look at. And between that time, a champion for a different bill from the Jamestown area, came to the chamber, and EduTech as well. And we produced a bill draft as well. That was a scholarship type mode. So really there was two bills going into the legislative session that were really looking at it from a scholarship perspective. Once it got into session, we all know what can happen. Things churn and burn and whatever happens. And, it's when you may be trying to make bread, you come out with a pretzel, but, you still get a pretzel at the end of the day, which are still pretty good. So to save you the
unknown participant is now joining.
At the end of the day, we came out with a bill that offers scholarship and loan forgiveness with the intent of driving students, young and old, to in-demand career fields and emerging careers. It's a great program for North Dakota. I'm not going to cover a lot of the mechanics of it, but at the end of the day, it matches state dollars that the state legislature appropriated with money that the employers can contribute as well towards a student. And what's nice is, we want industry's involvement. Industry from a chamber perspective knows best. So they know best of where to drive those funds and into workforce and in those careers that need those employees is a good way of doing so. When I visit with our members, they number of them even testify in this. They like the program because some of them were doing this program already. They were fostering students that they had found at their local high schools or friends, however it may be. Come work for me. I'll help you in college. You come work for me for a while. I'll work out at the end of the day. So this is a way for that money to go further. But it was also an incentive for maybe those employers that weren't doing it already. And the chamber, we look at a statewide approach. So some employers took measures in their own hands, and we're offering that at the local level. But we really want to encourage growth and investment in our workforce, and we want companies to grow across the state uniformly the best they can. So this is a great statewide program. The future. So the reason why we're blowing the horn today is we need people to use it. They appropriated $6 million. If we burn through that money, I imagine we have a good argument to come back for more. But I think the way we're at now, we need to use the money we have. We need to leverage these dollars the best we can, show that investment, show that industry is behind it. I talked to the chair of the Education Committee from the Senate last night, and that's his big question is, we show an industry involvement. So I think that's what we're really good to see is that the industry is getting behind this and wants to do it. So that's why we're here today, to talk to you guys, inform you, let you know how you can utilize the program and help leverage money that the state appropriators appropriated for this program and grow your business. So one last shout out I want to give is, the university system. So I used to be a state employee, and sometimes bills come through the legislature and who knows where they're going to land. But this one landed with the university system. So they had to ramp this up in a short time frame. I mean, you think session got over in May, and Brenda, when were we offering the first?
August.
In August. So, when you think of the speed of government, sorry, Brenda, but that's pretty fast. So they did a quick turnaround, got this program going. They're making tweaks as we go to make it better. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Brenda and let her do a walk. Give you the nuts
Is
and bolts.
now exiting.
Well, thank you, Matt. And you're giving us far too much credit. It was definitely a partnership amongst a lot of agencies, including GNDC, Bank of North Dakota, Workforce Development, Economic Development Offices, institutions. So a lot of hands came together, in the pot to pull this off in a few months. As Matt indicated, out of the session came the Career Builders Program. If you go to actual statute, it's called the Skilled Workforce Loan Repayment and Skilled Workforce Scholarship Programs. We're referring to it in North Dakota as the North Dakota Career Builders Scholarship and Loan Repayment. It's designed for business. It's a program to help businesses fill and grow their workforce needs.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
In the state. This is a unique partnership, as Matt alluded to, in that it involves not only state funding, but also private sector funding, as well as students and employees contributing as well in their commitments to the state. So this is, in essence, it's another tool in the toolkit for businesses to help retain and recruit individuals into positions that are in high need. As Matt had indicated, it does have two legs, although I like the pretzel analogy, that was great. Scholarship and loan repayment, and we'll talk a little bit about both of those. We talk about the list. The list drives the program. What is the list? Workforce Development Council and Job Service North Dakota spent the first few months summer compiling a list of qualifying occupations that relate to the high need and in-demand occupations in the state. And there are 75 qualifying occupations for the 2019 list that came out. And we'll take a look at the list in a little bit. Out of this list then, which drives the program, the university system started mapping qualifying educational programs in the state. And qualifying programs can be not only degree programs, but they can also be certificate programs, so certificate or degree programs. And those are from public, private, and tribal institutions in the state. And thus far, we have not only public, but we also have an individual who will be receiving a scholarship from Rasmussen College in Fargo. So the private institutions are also getting involved in this. Obviously, the qualifying programs in both the scholarship and loan repayment have to relate to those high need and emerging occupations to be considered. And we'll talk a little bit about the criteria for the scholarship programs versus the loan repayment programs in a bit. So we talked about the partnership and what does that mean for business. This is a 50-50 match program. The university system works with the Bank of North Dakota to disperse the state funding. However, we can't disperse the state dollars until we receive at least $1 of that private sector funding. The public contribution, as Matt had indicated, is $6 million, $3 million for each program. One thing that I wanted to point out is businesses or individuals that contribute donating to either the scholarship or the loan repayment have a lot of flexibility. One of the things that we heard throughout session was that businesses wanted to ensure that they had the opportunity to determine which individuals to direct that funding to. So as a business, donated funds, the matching funds, can be donated to the scholarship or loan repayment, to specific colleges, to specific programs of study, and even down to specific recipients. Individuals such as myself, if I want to contribute to the program, or if anyone out there wins the lottery and has not quite sure what to do with the funding, can also designate funds toward the scholarship or loan repayment toward institutions or toward programs. The only caveat there is you would not be able to identify a specific individual, so I could not identify my daughter as a recipient of matching dollars. Once the donations are received into the North Dakota University System for the Career Builders program, the return of funds to the business cannot be requested by the business, but there are certain requirements that individuals have to meet to get the scholarship dollars. If they do not meet those requirements, the North Dakota University System works with the Bank of North Dakota to collect those dollars back. And what we do in that instance is to track those funds back to the college that that individual went to, and then they can contact that business that donated the funds to see if they want to apply those to another student or possibly convert them into loan repayment for a current employee. So we wanted to make sure that there was a lot of flexibility in how you as a business contributed to the program, and not also wanted to also point out that as of now, all of the donations that we received thus far for scholarships are directly through institution foundation offices and institutions. You as a business may already have scholarship programs that you're working with a specific institution, and there's no reason for us to get involved in the middle of that. So there are contacts at each of our colleges in the state that participate in the scholarship program, and they will guide you through that process, and not only the individual filling out the application, but also as a business in that donation process. So while you can contribute directly through the North Dakota University System, you can also do that through the individual colleges, and as long as those funds eventually flow into our organization, to the North Dakota University System, for the benefit of the Career Builders program. And there's quite a bit more information on the donation form, which I'll show you in a minute as we get into the website. And looking at the scholarship fundamentals, for the scholarship or the loan repayment program, the total per recipient is $17,000. For the scholarship, the funds can go toward tuition fees, books, and supplies. If you're talking a 2-year program, an associate's program, or even a certificate program, that's a significant amount of their cost for a student. The programs that apply for the scholarship are certificate or degree programs that are 4 semesters or 6 quarters or less in length. So those are really that are at that associate's level and below, and obviously they have to relate to the in-demand occupations. Obviously they have to have that private sector matching dollars, which is what the program's all about. And the student also has an obligation as they accept these scholarship dollars. The student has to repay the funds if they don't meet the terms of the agreement, and primarily that they agree to live and work within North Dakota in a high need or emerging occupation for at least 3 years following their degree completion. So the agreement is between the student and the state, and we monitor all of that as the student goes not only through their program, but outward into the work environment. For the loan repayment, again, the same amount, $17,000 is the max. The difference with the scholarship disbursements on the 17, sometimes individuals will have a little more higher costs in the beginning, say tools for some programs might be $6,000, $8,000. So we are able to disperse in unequal increments on the scholarship side to account for those higher costs that might be the individual might be having initially as they start a program. On the loan repayment side, the individual has already earned their degree and they're already employed, and therefore that $17,000 is dispersed in equal installments over 3 years. Again, the goal is to have an individual live and work in North Dakota for 3 years to get that full benefit. The certificate or degree has to be earned from a North Dakota college. But it can be a program of any length. If you recall, the scholarship is for programs that are at about 2 years or less in length. These programs for loan repayment may be a program of any length. Again, the private matching dollars are a requirement. They have to be hired into a qualifying occupation in North Dakota as of 2019 or later. They do have to live in North Dakota. Many of you on calling in from border cities, we may have individuals living just across the border, but statute does require them to live and work in North Dakota, and obviously hold a balance on a qualifying student loan. So those are some of the basics. One of the things that, as we started talking about this, was this, this is a great program, but it can seem overwhelming at first, and where do I go for more information? We really encourage you to, first of all, familiarize yourself with the details of the program. As we work with GNDC and job service and the institutions, and it became clear that we wanted one place to go, one repository for information, and that's our website, which I'll bring up in just a moment. And then the first stop that I would probably make is that high need and emerging occupations list. Just looking at what the occupations that are listed, and I should note that those are looked at annually. So those, if you're not seeing something this year, this cycle, come back in July and take a look at what has been added to that list. So take a look and see if there are positions that you possibly need to fill and whether or not this would fit with your recruitment and retention efforts. And then the application process. Those that are interested in pursuing the scholarship, and as Matt indicated, you may already have students that you're scholarshiping. This would be a great way to make those scholars go farther, or make a more enticing offer for a student to enter a high need or emerging occupation. If you're interested in scholarship, we have contacts at each of the institutions that can work with you on that and take you through the process. If interested in the loan repayment, really that discussion starts between the employee and the employer, completing that application, which is online, and then as always, with any program or any question on office, can take you through the program and answer those for you. So what I want to do before we wrap up here is to bring up the website if this works, and just.
And you probably want to stop sharing that window.
All right, I'm going to stop. I'm going to start sharing. All right, so we should be presenting here shortly the North Dakota Career Builders website. And this really is the one-stop shop for all the information that you would need regarding the program. Up on top here is just information regarding the scholarship and loan repayment, as well as additional details if you want to delve deeper into the scholarship or loan repayment. We had indicated that the list is what really drives the program. The list here If you're familiar at all with the Job Service North Dakota list, will that pop up if I just click it? Okay. This may look familiar to some. These are the same 75 occupations that we utilize in the North Dakota Career Builders program. It's just put together in a nicer format. Our scholarship and loan repayment lists are, if you open this up, the occupations, the 75 occupations are listed alphabetically. And then as you can see, as we started mapping these occupations, it's a one-to-many. So as a carpenter, you have opportunities for a variety of certificates, diplomas, degrees at a variety of institutions in the state to fill this particular need in the state. So that is a little bit about the lists. And again, the loan repayment list is also listed here and looks a little bit different in format, but the same 75 occupations are listed at the top. And individuals who have earned their degree from within North Dakota can fill these occupations in Section 1 in a variety of ways from a variety of degrees in the state. So that would be one of the first stops, I would say, is the high-need emerging occupations list. The applications are listed here as well. The scholarship application is an online process. If you're wondering who the school contacts are, those you'll find here. Again, loan repayment, we can, in our office, walk you through that as well. The donation form, I had indicated that has more information as well regarding the requirements of the private sector donations, and you can download the form there. And then I wanted to point out some resources. As we started working with businesses and laying this out, found that we really needed some tools for businesses to utilize. Frequently asked questions. It's a new program, so it's quite lengthy, but hopefully some of your questions will be answered in the frequently asked questions. The quick facts really is all of the procedures that we utilize in administering the program. So that's quite lengthy, but if you're looking for the scholarship contact list at the college contact list, we built something here that's specifically for business, as well as a shorter version, which I'll open here, which is a next step, or putting it into action that kind of gives you the key points as well as next steps for business, which is also nice to, if you're presenting this possibly to others in your organization. We've built something here for high school counselors to talk with their families, their students, as well as parents, a piece specifically for loan repayment, and of course our PowerPoint today. And that is pretty much in a nutshell what I wanted to go over today. With that, are we doing questions at the end, or would we like to?
Yeah, I'd say if anyone has any questions regarding career builders, we have either Matt or Brenda to answer any questions. That'd be great.
Yeah. So, and again, as you're looking at the North Dakota Career Builders program and seeing how it fits into your employer. Certainly here at the system office, Matt has taken several calls too, and knows the program inside and out from the beginning to answer some of these questions. So with that.
Looks like we did have a question from Summer. I believe you're probably muted right now, but you could either type it in the chat or unmute yourself.
Can you hear me? Okay. I guess what I'm wondering is, so you said the students can apply for the scholarship opportunities, and for the matching dollar, the company has to donate. So if they have a job already or an internship and they are prospects for getting hired on full-time when they graduate, if they want to participate in this, then their employer would have to donate. Is that right?
Currently, yes. In North Dakota, we do not have one large donation, philanthropic donation that we can use as matching dollars. So right now, we have most of our donations right now are directly from businesses directed to individual students, although some businesses have contributed smaller loans that are given to the institutions to seek out individuals, say specifically in welding or another field. So for the most part, at this point in time, it is the business would have, and the business would have to contribute through the institution. And yes, that would be an excellent opportunity. We've had individuals, especially the Lake Region College of Science, where students have come in and said, you know, I don't need as much of a loan this semester because my employer is helping me out with a scholarship. And that's a great opportunity then to educate the student as well as the business on the program and being able to leverage those dollars that were already being committed. Also,
Okay. So then if the student wants to know if an employer participates in the program already, is there a list that they could see that?
No, they right now the students would work directly with their college financial aid office, and the financial aid offices are the ones that know whether their dollars that haven't donated toward a specific degree qualify.
Okay.
And that would be the best direction for a student to take.
Okay. So if we had students already, so I'm just kind of thinking about this, like we offer scholarships here at the Home Builders. And I saw on your list when you went through it, like carpentry, that is an approved occupation. So I didn't think about the students that are going through there and we're trying to make sure they get through fast and debt free. This would be a program for them to participate in, but I would want to direct them to the financial aid office to ask specifically about this program. And then if they do have an internship or something with an employer that they're looking to be hired on with, ask them if they would participate in this as well, correct?
Yeah, that would be a
Okay. Okay.
Summer, this is Matt. I just have a question for you.
Yeah.
Does the home builders have a pot of money themselves they offer scholarships with?
Yes.
So another option would be the home builders could give a gift to that certain career field. So you could say your donation would be used towards carpentry students only. And then, so if you had $10,000, for example, that would be leveraged with state funds. So your money would essentially double that you contribute, but you can say what career path or what career field this money is used for.
Okay.
We focused a bit on business and private sector, but communities even are getting very creative in how they're utilizing the program. Some of the smaller communities and small business in those communities just don't have the resources to put forth, but economic development offices are contributing the private sector match that has been garnered through those businesses and facilitating that process.
Is now exiting.
And with the individual students. So we all kind of become the recruiters for the money, including the students, the institutions, businesses, associations.
We do have a question from Ryan that he typed in the chat. He says, can you tell us how many applications have been filed, the amount of awards funded in each program?
Yeah. Hi, Ryan. We have, and I wish I would have brought my exact stats with me, but I believe we're at about committed dollars of around 200. And those are a variety of occupations. Some I can tell you, one of them was carpentry. A variety of occupations, and that is the public as well as the private sector match, and in both scholarship and loan review.
We typed the answer to that in the chat, about 225,000 from both the public and private match and a variety of occupations, including carpentry.
Okay, Jamie is asking, are there specific timelines for when the dollars are distributed, like in conjunction with the semester? So scholarship, yes, semester by semester, and that's really, it's also dependent on what you as the donor want to do. So if you have an individual student who has high cost semester 1, but then the next payment we want to be is semester 3, because those are the 2 that they're going to be most in need, that's an opportunity there. We have one student doing that right now at a college. So it can be also split unevenly, it can be split evenly. It's really up to you as the donor. On the loan repayment, we are working with the donors, so with the businesses. We will do payments on loan repayment, and those go directly to the loan servicer. And those payments can be made as often as quarterly, but at least annually. But we work with the business and the donor as far as how often they want to contribute those dollars.
Something I want to,
I can. Oh, how much time? The audio cut out. Oh, that's
We got one from Laura.
oh, okay, got it. Laura, all right. So Sanford sees need for more practitioners in a certain field, nursing or let's say med lab tech. They can donate to the fund designated to go to a school that provides training in that area, or can they designate a specific school? Yes, you can actually do it all the way down to an individual student. So if you already have somebody who's a CNA working for you, you know that they're going to Bismarck State and they're going to nursing. That you have flexibility in how to do that. Now, Laura, you can also work with the foundation offices or the colleges directly regarding those donations. So while you certainly are welcome to do a full donation, which we would love to have, let's say for nursing, a pot of money to help fill the nursing need in the state. Likewise, you could work directly with the institution.
one thing too, just to point out is it's not just for state institutions, private colleges and universities, or certificate programs like Linus Welding, any number of things. It's pretty wide open.
I'm just going to do it this way because it's easier.
Okay.
So is there some sort of a stipulation that the organization that's making the donation cannot do? I mean, because certainly there are loan forgiveness programs that then we require certain practitioners to stay for a certain period of time, like they have to commit 2 years to the institution. Is that something that if you participate in this matching program that you cannot do, or can you continue to have that kind of an agreement with the individual at the time?
Yeah, absolutely. So third-party agreements, we actually encourage those, and I think that it's probably one of the best opportunities. The student has a mentoring agency, a mentoring business. That business has a potential lead for an employee. While the rules of the North Dakota Career Builders would still have to take priority if you're receiving those matching funds from the state, we encourage you to seek third-party agreements with students. Again, any funds that would flow back into the program, let's say a student does not meet their agreement and you have to collect dollars back, they would become part of the Career Builders funding to issue out again, but we would then track those back to the institution they were delivered to and then that business.
Thanks.
Okay, are there any other questions, or should we move into Dakota Strike? Do you have any final comments, Brenda, before
No,
we?
thank you, and feel free to reach out to us if anything.
Definitely. Thank you, Brenda and Matt. John, should we turn it over to you for Dakota Strike information?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is John Gieser. I manage support and technical services for EduTech. We are the North Dakota Information Technology Agency's K-12 division. Our director, Rosie Corbance, isn't able to join us today, so I'm here as a pinch hitter, but I'll certainly try to do my best. We are putting together an event. This is a grand career exposition that is happening in Fargo at the Fargo Dome on April 8th, and it will be occurring all day long. To give you some background on why we're doing what we're doing, the state of North Dakota, especially the Department of Public Instruction and all the K-12 schools, the mode that they are operating under is what we would call choice ready. We want to make sure that every student in the state is graduating armed with the capacity to make good choices about where they want to go. By comparison, I think a lot of us remember the days where we considered the successful completion of K-12 education to be a person going on to college. However, I think we know that we live in a very dynamic world where people are going to make a number of choices, and they're all good choices. So Choice Ready is built on the foundation that, yes, we do want to prepare students to be able to engage in higher education of many different levels, whether it's for a four-year degree, an associate's degree, or a certificate program. But we also want students to be capable of exploring choices in military or non-military government service. And of course, there are people who are going to be prepared to enter directly into the workforce. And I think that's one common thread that we've seen in all the discussion today, is that workforce is a critical component in the success of the state. Not just in North Dakota, but nationwide, we're seeing that technology fields and many information-centric futures. Those are high demand. We are competing with states across the nation, trying to get the best and brightest. And I think we've always been proud that North Dakota does produce many of those best and brightest. And as we are competing with California and many other states, we know that one key component of that is keeping the students that we do have, as well as attracting students from elsewhere. Another point that we have going on with the Choice Ready is that even after a person graduates, perhaps they have entered into a particular career field, that you are never actually done being a student. There are always going to be opportunities for you to reinvent yourself based on how that career landscape changes over time. So in parallel with that Choice Ready education mode, North Dakota has a K-20W cybersecurity program that we have been developing for the past several years. And in a nutshell, we know that there are tremendous changes to the threat landscape. Information technology plays a role in every field. Anything that a person could do has at some point going to involve either cyber education, computers, security, or even just protecting information and data privacy. So we want to prepare the students in North Dakota to be able to step into roles. Cybersecurity has a great thirst for employees, and that will only continue to grow. And we, if you ever chose to engage with them, we could share tons of statistics to show the direction that is going. But you can see with that kind of a direction hanging over us, we found that it would be advantageous to put together an event like the Dakota Strike. And we do have a website that I'll be able to take you to. But the idea behind Dakota Strike is we've all been to career fairs, we've all participated in them, but we don't want this to be just a giant space filled with row after row after row of tables. We are arranging it in many ways like a theme park. So we're holding it at the Fargo Dome. And what we are doing is having hands-on exploration. So when students arrive at the Fargo Dome, and we are targeting grades 7 through 12, although students in higher education, the general public, people that are perhaps being schooled at home or have entered into the workforce and then are looking to reinvent themselves, literally anybody is invited, but we are targeting grades 7 to 12. And as they arrive in the Fargo Dome, we will have a space available for all of our sponsors and participants, and hopefully many of you would choose to adopt that. They're engaged together in what we would call lands. Just like if you go to Disneyland, you're going to have the adventure area over here and maybe a separate area further on down the road. You will walk through the path like the world's most glorious IKEA, and each individual area is going to have spaces for government and non-government service, higher education, direct exploration of healthcare, involvement in cybersecurity, so that students can congregate into an area that shows their enjoyment and passion. And we are incentivizing this. So that's another thing that's probably different with this than many other career expos or career fairs, is that there is an application that students will be able to load onto their smartphone, and at each individual booth or table that they will be participating in, they will scan a QR code. Those are kind of funky square barcodes that you've probably seen, and they will be asked questions about the particular representative business or career, so that it's not just they're stopping by to grab a pen, say thank you, and move on. They will be asked questions about the sponsors to make sure that they've engaged, and we are incentivizing that with prizes, so that the people that have participated in and correctly answered the most questions about the vendor participants, they will be getting some pretty nice prizes, whether it's Xboxes or other things of that like. So in parallel to the expo on the floor, we will have extremely interesting technology at their disposal. They will be able to see large drones that are used in aviation, exploration, agricultural engineering, the military, really exciting hands-on opportunities to engage the students and make them feel that they are they're doing interesting things while they're there. And again, since the point is choice ready, to make sure that students understand their future isn't something that happens to them, it's something they prepare for. This gives them an idea of things that might be interesting and drive them into more information technology or STEM related coursework. So that's going on the expo floor that will cover the entire Fargo Dome. We will also have breakout sessions with approximately, I want to say, I'll show you the schedule a little bit, but there's probably going to be about 16 to 20 breakout sessions that are going on throughout the day, where students can go and hear from panels of actual career experts, whether they're people involved in agricultural engineering, remote sensing, different opportunities in healthcare or in military, government, or non-military service. And they'll be able to ask questions and really engage with those people in a direct manner to find out, if this is the future I'd like to pursue, what do I have to do to be prepared, and what can I look forward to in a very realistic sense once I get in there. And there's more. Leading up to the event, we are engaging students in what would be called like a capture the flag event, where this is cybersecurity in the raw, where you are competing against others in cybersecurity battles. If any of you have familiarity with some online games, that's a fairly standard mode. My team's flag is here, your team's flag is here, and we are competing to try and capture the other team's flag. This is a cybersecurity equivalent to that. So the idea behind the expo, again, it's not just to have an endless stream of tables, although there is a time and a place for that. It's really about engaging the students and making it interactive, incentivizing their involvement, and making sure that they can see themselves in the career that they have in the future. So in a moment here, I will share our website and kind of do a quick walk through that.
Can I ask, how many schools do you have signed up already?
I don't have that information in front of me at this moment. I do know that we are expecting anywhere from 1,500 to 3,000 or 4,000 students to attend. And here, I'll make sure I'm doing all the smart stuff at one time.
Do your schools, when they sign up, are they telling you like a time and day when they're going, like a time of when they're going to be there and when they're going to hit the floor? Or is it just kind of like, I'm going to sign up, this is how many kids I'm coming, and you're just going to get me when I decide to come?
That is a great question. One, are you able to see the website that I am sharing right now? You see Dakota Strike Career Expo?
I see an email.
Ah, okay. I'll just drag this back over then. Now we see the website?
Yep.
Okay. So on the website, you'll see that we do have an area for sponsors, which I will of course be drawing you to. If we click on the sessions agenda, that's where we'll start to see a little bit more of what that timeline looks like. So we know that we're going to be getting students from all over the state of North Dakota. We will have those, of course, from the Fargo area, but we also have a great amount of involvement from tribal schools and those on reservations, because we want to make sure that we're giving every student an opportunity to see themselves moving into their future. So because of that, we do have students that will have long commute times to get here. So we've broken it down into 3 windows, one from about 9 to 11, another from about 10 to, let's say they've got military time there, so about 10 to 1, then another one from about 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And students will be able to engage with the expo floor as well as those that are in the breakout sessions. And so you're asking about, do schools have specific times that they will be there? Yes. And what we are doing is, as schools register, we are contacting the schools back to find out about their particular logistical needs, and to make sure that we're not asking people who are driving 300 miles to get here to leave at 5 o'clock in the morning. And talk about burying the lead. You can also see there on the website that this is sponsored and heavily encouraged by our governor, Doug Burgum. Probably no secret, he's a bit of a technology guy. And there is a great amount of support and activity from the Department of Commerce and Commissioner Comer, as well as the Superintendent of Public Instruction, Kirsten Basler, the State's Director of Career and Technical Exploration, Wade Sick, and the State's Information Technology Department and University System. And it's not just that they're sponsoring this, they will be in attendance and interacting with people. One of the events that we have going on, not just capture the flag, but we are also recognize that there's a heavy entrepreneurship aspect to all of this. When students are considering their future, they might choose to make their own path. So we are having and please understand, I'm not using this as a trademark, but just as an analogy. If you've seen things like the Shark Tank competition, well, we are having a mobile app competition where students from the university level as well as the high school level will be able to develop an application and submit that for approval, and they will get feedback directly from perhaps some people even on this call, and the state's Chief Information Officer, Sean Riley, and we believe we also have a commitment from Dr. Hager out of the university system. So if students say, I'm going to make my own future and here's how I'm going to make it, they will get feedback and also, again, prizes for their participation. So we will have a day full of winners, or everyone is definitely going to be able to come away from this with a stronger sense of their future and the ability to make those excellent choices for where they want to go. But
Is now exiting.
There are going to be opportunities for people to truly engage with you as sponsors. So that is the schedule. Going back out a little bit, as you can see, we are going to be there over the lunch hour. So we are anticipating that we will want to, let's see here. We're going to want to be able to provide students with, here, just get back up there, thank you. We are going to want students to be able to eat, and we will have the vendors within the Fargo Dome available. But what we would really like to be able to see is, some people getting behind sponsoring those meals so that students that have driven a long way wouldn't also necessarily need to be able to bring food. So here I'm going to bring up the sponsors page of our website, and you can see there are opportunities for sponsorship at a variety of levels, and we do have commitments from some rather large vendors at what we would call our supernova level. Those are people sponsoring at $5,000 and above. Each one of these sponsorships includes an appropriate amount of consideration as well. So for those that are sponsoring at the supernova level, they would get 2 full, what you'd call sites, like a 10 by 10 space, 2 of those adjoining, as well as recognition during any of the video and audible events, sponsorship on our banners that we would print, as well as any print materials. And you can see all of the other levels also contain a similar compensation. The accelerator level, you definitely get recognition from the main stage. You also get preferred placement for your exhibitor booth, all the way down to the innovator and champion level, where at least you'd be getting a logo and placement and exhibitor booth if desired. We do understand that, especially for small businesses, you may or may not be able to commit to a booth. The choice is really up to you. If what you're looking for is booth space, we can accommodate that. But if you're saying somebody has to stay behind and run the business, but I definitely want to participate and get logo placement on all of the print materials, we accommodate that as well. Or if you wanted your name associated with sponsorship of meals, we just want you to know that we are seeking ways to let students engage with you and to be rewarded for their engagement with you, but also to leave the manner of your engagement up to you.
How many exhibitors can attend?
We do have floor space. I believe the original number was somewhere around 90, and some of those have been consumed already at various levels. But I believe the last I had heard, we still had space for at least 40. So hopefully I've done an adequate job of at least describing what it is that we are doing and what our plan is to engage. Is there any other details I may have left out on this?
John, this is, well, Brenda here from the office, but wondering the 7th to 12th graders, is it focused on the eastern half of the state, or is it statewide being promoted?
This is being promoted statewide. We do recognize that it will be easier for students in the southeast corner of the state, but we do have commitments from pretty much every corner already, trying to maintain some of their privacy. But we know that there are entire buses from the Bismarck area coming. We have buses from a number of the schools that are on the Native American reservations from all corners of the state. So we recognize it might be easier for students from the southeast corner to make it there, but this is a statewide event.
Does anyone have any additional questions for John? It looks to be a really exciting day.
I have one. What about the areas that are already hosting events very similar to this? Do you feel like this is going to take over and those events will go away? Are you looking to collaborate with those other events to just combine to make your event larger?
I know that we have talked about what the future would hold.
Unknown
and whether
participant
this would
is now exiting.
continue on its own, whether it be replicated, where we're doing this in multiple sites across the state. And I think at this point we're all ears, but this is definitely not being done in any way to compete or crowd out other events. We just simply recognize that there's a lot of different areas, especially with relation to Choice Ready, that are not at this time being served. So, especially the non-military government service, generally though they don't have a lot of ability to interact directly with students at career fairs. And even frankly, the military service, they don't get an opportunity to show you a gigantic remote controlled drone or autonomous vehicles and things like that. So there's definitely a decision to bring as many of those things to bear front and center. But yes, there is the Career Health Expo that occurs. I believe that was I want to say it was this last fall or earlier in the winter. And we communicate with them regularly, and there's no sense of competition. And perhaps at some point we could collaborate, but I think we each have enough content that we want to make sure students, whether in 7 to 12, and I should probably mention, right now there is a big gap in reaching 11th and 12th graders. It seems like a lot of the expos are focusing on the younger high school students. I don't know that there's a lot of activity directly for middle school. So we're trying to make sure that we're hitting the age groups that aren't normally served, perhaps some demographic groups that aren't normally served, and definitely giving opportunities for participants in some of the fields that would normally have an opportunity to get all under one umbrella.
Are you experiencing any of the exhibitors hesitant to these students that would be coming that aren't going into the workforce right away, since, you know, it's 7 through 12? I mean, some of these younger kids, do you have any of them hesitant to want to participate because they are so young?
We haven't heard anything like that, and actually, if anything, they're delighted they have the opportunity, because again, this is about helping students become active participants in making their choices. So students that might be in grades 11 and 12, they're in a position where they're going to be selecting majors and doubling down on some of their educational choices for whether, to what degree they're involved in STEM activities. And some of our sponsors say we definitely want to get to those students now before they start to kind of matriculate into a narrow lane and feel that they aren't available for other career fields. And others say we want to get to them when they're in grade 7, as young as possible. So they start making some of those foundational choices on classes and other activities so that they are there and ready. They want to build those relationships as early as possible.
John, I hate to cut off conversation because it's great. Want to be respectful of everyone's time. But we did have a question from Laura. So who do you suggest we connect with for specific questions on sponsorships? I think that's a great kind of wrap-up question too.
Yes. First of all, I want to thank TechND for their involvement in sponsorship of this meeting. So if nothing else, I'm sure, communicating with Dina, or I saw John Nagel was on earlier, by all means, we would never stop taking phone calls from them. But you can go to the website. It's www.dakotastrike, all one word. So www.dakotastrike.nd.gov. And there's spaces there where you can leave further questions and we will respond to you quickly. Also on the sponsorship form, when you get to that sponsors tab,
Unknown participant is now exiting.
Specifically, there's a number of our staff. We're trying to not make a single point of failure, so it's all hands on deck. And if you fill out those questions on the form or get contact information from the form, you will get a response.
So to wrap up, just want to, on behalf of TechND and the Greater North Dakota Chamber, want to thank all of you for participating today. Thank you to our presenters who did an excellent job of describing the programs. As John mentioned, if you have further questions on either of these programs, feel free to reach out to TechND and or the Greater North Dakota Chamber, and we can help point you in the right direction for sure. So we hope this was beneficial for everyone involved, and thanks to all. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is now exiting.